All right, let's just get right into it. We have all been there. You've got these huge ambitions, right? You want to finish a degree, build a career, start a new fitness routine, whatever it is. But then, when it's actually time to do the thing, you find yourself on the couch, binge watching a new series instead of going to that networking event. It's this incredibly frustrating gap between who we want to be and what we actually do.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a second. It's like 6 o'clock, you are wiped out from the day, and you have a choice. You can either push yourself to go to this event that might just be a total game changer for your career, or you could just not. That feeling, that pull towards the easy, comfortable option, that is a completely universal human experience. And it turns out there's a really, really good reason for it.
And this is maybe the most important thing to get straight from the jump. If this is a struggle for you, it does not mean you're lazy or that you lack willpower. It's not some kind of defect in your character. It's actually a fundamental feature of how our brains are designed to work. And you know what? Once you understand the design, you can start working with it instead of against it.
So, if we want to bridge that gap between our big goals and our day-to-day actions, we have to understand the science first. We're going to take a look inside our own heads at the two competing systems that are constantly in a tug of war for control over every single decision we make.
Think about your own patterns for a minute. When you're faced with that choice between a long-term gain versus some short-term comfort, who usually comes out on top? The answer is probably not the one your most ambitious self really wants to hear.
Yeah, it's almost always the part of your brain that is screaming for an immediate reward. It's just incredibly powerful, it's built for speed, it's super efficient, and it often hijacks our decision-making process before our more logical, future-focused brain even gets a chance to put its shoes on.
You know, you can think of this inner conflict like a race between a sprinter and a marathon runner, both living in your head. Your limbic system, that's the sprinter. It's fast, it's automatic, and it is always ready to chase after immediate pleasure. Then you have your prefrontal cortex. That's the marathon runner, built for slow, deliberate, long-term planning. The problem? Well, after a long day of making decisions, that marathon runner is just exhausted, which makes it super easy for the sprinter to win that Netflix versus networking debate every single time.
And what's the fuel for this whole system? It's a chemical called dopamine. It's the neurotransmitter that spikes when we even just anticipate immediate pleasure. Now, this isn't some modern flaw in our brains. It's an ancient survival mechanism. Our ancestors needed that dopamine hit to prioritize finding food and shelter right now. The only issue is that the exact same wiring now pulls us towards scrolling social media instead of, say, working on that big project application. But here's the good news. We don't have to be victims of our own wiring. We can actually consciously rewire this reward system. We can learn to work with these natural tendencies instead of constantly fighting what feels like a losing battle against them.
So, how in the world do you make a huge, abstract goal like get a master's degree feel immediate and rewarding? Well, you start by breaking it down into tiny, manageable pieces. You create micro goals like, I'm going to submit one application essay this week. And then, and this is the most critical step, the second you complete that micro goal, you reward yourself. You are strategically giving your brain that little dopamine hit it's craving, but you're tying it to productive behavior.
I absolutely love this quote because it completely reframes the whole idea of a reward. This is not about being self-indulgent. Treating yourself to a nice coffee after you finish a really tough task isn't frivolous at all. It's a strategic intervention. You are literally actively training your brain to connect the hard work of your long-term goals with the immediate pleasure it's wired to seek out.
Okay, but hacking your brain isn't just an internal job, right? Sometimes the biggest hurdles we face are external, and that's when we really need to harness the power of the people around us.
We tend to think of resilience as just pure individual grit, you know? Just push through no matter what happens. But real lasting resilience is also about knowing when your own perspective is just too narrow, especially when you've had a setback. It's about having the wisdom to tap into the collective intelligence of your network. Think about it. When you're emotionally stuck in a problem, your network can be your greatest asset. They can offer a perspective you just can't see on your own. Someone who's been through a similar challenge can share what actually worked for them. A mentor might look at a company restructure, not as a disaster, but as a brand new opportunity for you. Basically, they give you better, more accurate data to make better decisions, especially when you feel powerless.
Okay, so we've got the internal hacks and we've got external support. Now let's talk about the practical stuff, how to make it all stick.
Because good intentions are great, but they're not enough. We need some real systems in place to maintain our motivation and track our progress for the long haul.
These are kind of the nuts and bolts for making your progress feel real and tangible. Visual tracking, seeing a calendar full of check marks. That creates a positive feedback loop you can actually see. Regular reviews, say weekly or monthly, let you look at what's working and what's not, so you can adapt your strategy. And proportional rewards, well, that just keeps the whole system motivating. A small win gets a small treat. A huge milestone gets a bigger celebration. Makes sense, right?
But out of all the tools and strategies we've talked about, this one right here might be the most crucial. Because you will have setbacks. That's a guarantee. You are going to make choices that don't align perfectly with your goals. Our brains have this natural negativity bias, which means we tend to fixate on our mistakes. So the most powerful tool to counteract this is simply self-forgiveness.
And this is the mindset shift that changes everything. A missed workout or a lazy evening is not a moral failure. It is not a judgment on who you are as a person. It's just data. It's information you can use to ask, okay, what happened there? What can I adjust for next time? This approach keeps you moving forward, instead of getting bogged down in a cycle of guilt and shame.
So, as we start to bring this all together, it becomes really clear that achieving our goals isn't about some giant, heroic leap of willpower. It's about the small, daily practice of choice, supported by systems that actually work with our brain's natural design, not against it.
And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. You are not trying to become a perfect, flawless decision-making robot. That's impossible, and frankly, it sounds exhausting. The real goal is to just tip the balance, day by day, in favor of the choices that serve your long-term vision. Each one of those small, positive choices, it compounds over time, steadily moving you toward the life you actually want to build.
So just remember that every single moment, every small choice is a new opportunity. You're now equipped with the tools and the understanding to make that choice just a little bit more wisely. The only question left is, what are you going to do with it?